The government's under mounting pressure to address its handling of the exam system. 40% of A-level results downgraded from teachers' predictions, and that comes as so many distressed and furious students begin legal proceedings against the exams regulator Ofqual after losing out on their places at university.
Among those are Lina Asaah, who, despite being predicted 2 A stars and 2 A's by her teachers, was awarded 1 A, 2 B's and a C. There she is, joining us now alongside her lawyer, Gemma Abbott. And we'll also welcome back head teacher Christine Cunniffe. Good morning to you all. Lina, I'm so sorry about your results. Tell us how you felt when you opened those. You were predicting 2 A stars and 2 A's.
Yeah, I will. I was really disappointed to get the A and 2 B's and a C that I did. It's way below anything I've received or achieved this year. And I've never even had a C in the further maths, which is what I achieved this year.
And how hard do you believe you worked towards your exams, which obviously you then couldn't take? But how much work had you put in?
So much work. I represent the school in a number of competitions for maths as well. So for my maths and further maths grades to be downgraded, I was really, really disappointed about. I still don't understand why that even happened. We still could have sat the exams. So it was really, yeah, I don't really understand what's going on.
And you don't get any explanation? There's no sort of follow-up to say, this is why we did this?
No, I think that's part of the reason why I'm choosing to take this legal action with the Good Law Project, because there's been no kind of clarity over the situation. We weren't really told why the exams had to be cancelled. We were just being told by Boris Johnson in March that, of course, they would be cancelled. And
you had a place at the London School of Economics, is that right? How's that affected your university place now?
On the results, I called them up and they said, they confirmed that if my grades were able to change through some sort of appeal, they would reinstate me. So I think that's kind of what I'm after. OK, and
conducting that for you, let's speak to Gemma Abbott now. And Gemma, you're the legal director at the Good Law Project in Hackney there. So what is this? Is this a group action you're taking?
Yeah, we're working with 6 students, including Lina, to challenge Ofqual specifically, so the exams regulator, about its failure to provide a fair process for students who have had their exams cancelled and who have now been awarded grades using an algorithm that in most cases has not taken into account in any way their teachers' assessments of their grades. So we can see that it's an extremely unfair procedure, and Ofqual has a duty to provide a fair process. So we're challenging them on that basis, and we have a brilliant legal team. I'm not her lawyer, but we have some brilliant barristers and solicitors acting for the students to seek justice.
Because Ofqual published guidance of how students could appeal. This was at 3 o'clock on Saturday, and then a few hours later they took that guidance down without any explanation. So what did you make of that?
Well, I think it's indicative of the fact that we're just seeing an absolute shambles here. The government and Ofqual have had months to sort this out, and yet after the exam results have been published, they still haven't decided on the appeals process. I think what's important to remember, though, is that there's been a lot of emphasis on appeals, but actually the appeals process is incredibly narrow, and there is at the moment no right for an individual student to challenge their grades. And also, even when schools and colleges can challenge them, the grounds on which they can challenge are extremely narrow. This is one of the bases in which we're taking legal action, because there is no appeal based on the merits of the award. So students can't say, well, wait a minute, I'm an A-star student and I've been given a B or even a C. And I deserve more. There's no appeals basis on. There's no appeal based on those.
So what you're saying is, government ministers come out and they say you can always appeal. You can always appeal. You're saying that's not a given.
No, absolutely not. So at the moment, schools and colleges can appeal, but only in very exceptional circumstances. So if there's been an administrative error, or if there is some reason that they can show that the algorithm is not appropriate for judging the individual student's grades in those circumstances. So, for example, if the algorithm looks at the historic performance of the school over the last 3 years. So if something exceptional has happened at that school, say they've gone from a mixed school to a single-sex school or something like that, or they've become a selective school in that process, then that would be a basis on which you could appeal. Okay. But otherwise, there isn't a merits-based appeal, and that's a huge problem because we have seen, not just Lina, whose grades have gone from, really high grades to grades that have prevented her from getting into her top choice university, but we're representing clients claimants who have gone from their teachers assessed them at 3 Bs and they've been awarded 3 Es. There's another student who started with a B from his teacher and he's gone to a U. Yeah. You're given a U when you don't turn up.
Yeah, okay.
And once you
Well, let's go to the cold face now. Head teacher Christine Cunniffe in all of this, and you're based in Ascot, and there you were last week. You were on this show, you were talking away to us. Up pops the Education Secretary. We weren't sure he was coming on the programme, and you got in there, Christine. So you bared your teeth with him. What has happened? What is the aftermath, the fallout for you as regards appeals?
Well, as we've just heard, there's very little we can do at the moment until there's more clarity. And the appeals process at the moment is extremely narrow. And you've probably heard lots of horror stories on the news throughout the weekend, and the children protesting, good for them. And so, the sixth form college head was on today and said they've looked at their 3-year statistical analysis of historic performance, and their results across 41 subjects do not bear any resemblance whatsoever. And you have schools like ours that are all ability, non-selective. So some years you might have 80% A*, another year might have 0. It doesn't bear any resemblance. It's disgraceful. I'm absolutely lost for words about what's happened this weekend. And it's about time the government did the honourable thing and backtrack, go to the centre assessed grades. Full stop. OK,
there's no sign of that backtracking yet, except looking ahead to GCSEs next week. Northern Ireland, for instance, will say that will be teacher grade based. I mean, you may regard that as progress or not, Christine.
No, I think we've got to go back to the grassroots. They gave the teachers the job to do this task, and we followed it. We followed the consultation to a T. We've got it right. It may be that they're overinflated this year, but you know what? Do statistics really mean anything this year? Let it go, and let's focus on some of the other things the government really needs to be focusing on right now. Yeah.
Now, Gemma, what are your chances of getting success, getting a regrade, remark for people like Lina?
Well, we think we have a really strong chance. I think a judge would find it very difficult to say that a system that can award somebody whose teacher thought that they were entitled to a B and an algorithm has processed them as a U is a procedurally fair system. So I think we have a good chance. But I also think that now is the moment for us to be really focusing on the political pressure that we can bring to bear on Ofqual, on Gavin Williamson at the Department for Education, and on Boris Johnson, because there's not time for everybody to mess around. We don't have time for Ofqual to publish guidance and then withdraw it hours later. There's a hard deadline of the 7th of September for students to meet any unfulfilled conditions on their university offers. So we need to get this sorted. 280,000 grades downgraded. That would be 280,000 individual appeals. Who's going to process that?
And Christine, are you appealing on behalf of some of your students?
We will appeal down every possible avenue. I don't intend to go quietly on this one, and I don't think the rest of the country is. So I'd say to the government, come on, do the honourable thing.
You know, Christian, I think you're absolutely right. I think you've got the real mood on all of this. And for me, this is political suicide for people like the Education Secretary. And surely a blind man on a galloping horse could see we've got to backtrack on this.
100%. I mean, no one likes, I felt uncomfortable what happened last week, but it's got to be said, and they've got to listen and, do the right thing. You're not going to win this one by not doing the right thing. Put it that way. This will be with you and those people for the next 60, 70 years. Your reputation will be shot. No one will see there's any credibility in the government. So now's the time. Today is the time. Come on, Mr. Johnson, Prime Minister, please do the honourable thing.
Yeah. Christine, all this argument about grade inflation as well. I mean, I look at this and I think, why don't you just take 2020 out of the equation? Don't compare it to 2019. Don't compare it to 2021. Pretend it hasn't even happened. There it is. take it out of the exam averages, whatever, and surely everybody's going to be happy.
Yeah, at the weekend I was talking to 4 family members ranging from 24 to 18 and said, would any of you begrudge this year group inflated grades? They went, no, we'd welcome it. They deserve it. They've been through enough. It's an extraordinary... Let's do it. Yeah. And that's the key.
Well, let's give the final word to one of those students, Lina. You don't believe your predicted grades were inflated. You said you've put so much work in. What would you say to Boris Johnson and the Education Secretary if you could talk to them today?
I would definitely ask why and how has a system being created where someone like me could be downgraded by 6 in total. Out of the 4 A-levels I take, 3 of my subjects were downgraded by 2. And Boris Johnson, Gavin Williamson claim this is a fair and robust system. It can't at all be if something like that's able to happen. So there's so much injustice in it. And rather than levelling students up, they're levelling us down and putting us in positions where we're likely to struggle in the future. I think there's no justice in it, and they most definitely have to change the system. They can't allow us to be able to keep these grades. And
in the meantime, have you accepted a place at a different university that would take you with the grades that they have been given to you?
Yes, even though I'm...
Oh, that's a shame. Well, apparently she had to go to her second choice. Oh, she's back. Oh, yeah, sorry, Lina, we lost you there for a moment. But you have taken another place but hoping that this might be overturned.
Yeah, LSE is still a university I'd really love to go to. So I do have another offer, which I'm very, very grateful for. But I still need my grades to change because kind of to put what I've got on any future job applications, I'd kind of be ashamed to do. So.
Yeah. Well, good luck to you, Lina. Christine, we hear only of the students who have been marked down. Do you have any examples, or do you have many examples of pupils who have been marked up?
I don't know of any. Right. Maybe I've been sort of a little bit deaf to it because I'm so incensed with the ones that have gone down, which, 280,000 grades means it's affecting an awful lot of children. So the focus is on the bad. And it seems widespread. And I just want the government, if you're listening, look us in the eyes today, because it's like being constantly punched in the stomach over the weekend with announcements that are then withdrawn. It's not good enough. We need to put an end to this today for everyone.
Gemma, Ofqual says today, we have been clear that we want to build as much fairness into the appeals process as possible to help young people in the most difficult cases, and have been working with Ofqual to achieve that. So that is the Department of Education saying that. Ofqual continues to consider how to best deliver the appeals process to give schools and pupils the clarity they need. I only got an A level in English, an A at A level, actually, but I sort of really can't understand that statement. Do you make any sense of what they said there?
No. I mean, how can they be at this stage, several days after they publish the A-level results, without an appeals process that's fair, in their own words? We want fairness too, and there's a very clear way to deal with this now, is to revert back to the teacher-assessed grades.
Okay.
And that's what we need.
OK, folks, thank you very much indeed, all of you, for your input there. Everybody watching at home, what have you got to say? This is one of the things that definitely has got the country talking.